Hello, my name is Emma, and I will be doing the roasted tomatoes and garlic recipe from Courier. For the almonds, I just have Southern Grove whole natural almonds. The butter is unsalted sweet cream from Hy-Vee. The salt is Stone Mill iodized table salt. For the onions, I have 2 large white onions. Thyme is ground. The brand is Tones. Tones for bay leaves. Tones for the fennel leaves, or fennel seeds. Stone Mill for crushed red pepper. Stone Mill for pure ground black pepper. And for the olive oil, it's Trader Joe's extra virgin olive oil. The cloves of garlic are, I don't know if there's a brand for that. The diced tomatoes are from Hy-Vee. The vodka is from my neighbors, so I cannot give you the brand. And the tomatoes are Roma tomatoes, and the basil leaves are from my backyard. I will be doing a version with vodka and a version without to see how it affects the flavor, and I think that the version with the vodka will be more flavorful and have a richer taste. So right now I just have my oven preheating to 350 where I'm gonna put the almonds and then wait for the almonds to heat up. Then I'm gonna add the butter and the salt. And the type of sauce we're making today is a puree. So basically a puree is a food that has been pulverized or beaten really finely, or just mixed up to as a thickener, and you can either add them to stuff or you can just leave them be and let them sit alone. And these are the almonds when they first come out of the oven. I will now put the butter and the salt, and I forgot to mention that I will be doubling this recipe until it comes to the vodka part. So this is 1.5 cups of almonds, and I'll be adding 2 tablespoons of butter and 1 teaspoon of salt. And the way we thickened the sauce today was with the almonds. That is what made the sauce super thick, or just thickened the sauce. Alright, I have now added the butter salt to the almonds, and I will now crush them into a paste in my blender. I have now ground up my almonds. It's kind of like a crumbly texture. And now in this pan I have the salt, onions, thyme, bay leaves, fennel seeds, dried red pepper flakes, and the pepper and olive oil in their adequate amounts. So now I will heat those up. I actually decided to transfer it into more of a pot because I realized I'd have to add the tomatoes, and I was scared that it wouldn't fit into that pan. But anyway, the onions are looking really nice, and I am about to add the 6 cloves of garlic into here. And now I have taken out the bay leaves, added all 4 cans of diced tomatoes, and it's on medium-low heat, or low-medium heat. So now I'm gonna wait for it to simmer and then set a timer for 10 minutes. And now it has simmered for 10 minutes. I've taken it off the heat, and I'm adding the 1/2 cup of the tomato mixture at a time for a total of 2 cups total. Actually, this is 1 cup, and then I'm gonna add the other cup once I've mixed this. And the reason we add we added some of that tomato mixture to the almonds was to make sure that the almonds had more of a easier way to be incorporated into the sauce. Also, it provides for flavor thickening. And this is what it's looking like now that I've added that last cup. I'm gonna try to get all these parts evenly mixed up, but it's looking quite creamy, especially on camera. And this is what the final mixture is looking like. It's hard to tell, but it is really quite smooth. So now I'm gonna add it back to this tomato mixture. All right, this is what it's looking like now. Quite thick, quite creamy. And now I will divide it in two. All right, it is hard to see because it's foggy, but it is almost to 2,000 milliliters. So I will divide this up evenly into two pots. All right, I have added the lemon zest to both of them. I'm gonna stir it in, and then I'm gonna add the vodka to this one in this small pan. I have measured out 3 tablespoons of vodka, and I will put it in there. And I already stirred this one, but I will wait for them both to boil. And then I will add in the basil slivers. I will cut those up into little slivers and add these peeled, diced, and de-seeded tomatoes. The science behind the vodka is that it dissolves in the sauce and allows for more alcohol, for more flavors to emerge. And also it's important to note that I de-seeded those fresh tomatoes and also de-skinned them because I didn't want, the purpose behind that is to avoid any bitter taste from the seeds. Sometimes if the seeds get pureed or dissolved, they can add to a bitter taste. All right, both of my sauces are boiling, and I will now stir in these tomatoes and basil, and then be ready to taste them. Also, it's important to note that we actually didn't add any water, and that's important because if you add too much water, even just a little bit, it'll offset the sauce. And because when the tomatoes won't get or the food won't be mixed properly, and also it might get watered down really easily. Also, the tomatoes have a really high water content because they're I guess technically they're a berry, so they have a high water content, and if you add just even a little bit, it'll make the sauce too watery. Also, it's important to know how many layers of flavoring and layers there are to this, such as the roasting, sauteing the spices with the onions and the garlic, and then of course adding the tomatoes. Each layer adds another flavor to the sauce. So I've now finished both the sauces, and they're both very good. You can really taste the flavor elements through each step in there. The onions are really soft, which is really nice. The one without the vodka, I feel like I taste a little bit more of the layers of spices, which is really nice. And the one with the vodka, I feel like I can taste a little bit more of the richer tomatoey spice or just flavors, just an enhanced flavor. but I can't tell if that's just me knowing what it is and giving a like a bias, but no one is awake right now to that I can give them a random sample and they not know what it is. So overall, I would consider my experiment successful, just based on the fact that the one with vodka is slightly more flavorful, although if I didn't know that it had vodka, I might not be able to tell. So that makes me curious as to whether the amount of vodka matters to a certain extent, because I put 3 tablespoons in for one batch. So I wonder if you put 5 tablespoons, if that makes it more flavorful. It is now the next day, and I had my dad taste both the sauces to see if he could tell a difference, because I thought they were both really, really flavorful, and I could tell a difference, but I couldn't tell if that was because I knew what each sauce was. And interestingly enough, he could tell right away, which I was impressed that it made such a stark difference. And he said that he could tell because the flavors really jumped out at his tongue. Although he said he preferred the one without vodka, just because I think that's his personal preference for tomato sauce. But he said the one with vodka was a lot more richer, and he felt the flavors more immediately on his tongue. And now some other ways that I think would be interesting to experiment with is with we used almonds in this recipe, but the Courier cookbook also talks about using rice as a thickener, and also beans. If you puree beans, that would be quite interesting. So I would be interested to see which would be the thickest, or how they would, of course, taste, but I'm curious which one would give the thickest sauce. Also, I think it would be interesting to see how different brands of vodka, because would affect the flavor profiles of the tomato sauce, because different brands have different distillation processes, and seeing how the distillation process affects the flavors. Also, this recipe didn't specify what kind of onion, so I just used a white onion, but I'm wondering how a yellow onion, which is sweeter, would provide a little bit more sweetness to a sauce, and how that would, I think it would provide a different flavor component to the sauce. And also, the author just said to use large ripe tomatoes, which now looking back, I guess Roma tomatoes aren't super large, so I guess I could have used a different type of tomato, even though mine turned out fine and it was really yummy. But I'm wondering if I used a different kind of tomato, how that would have affected the taste. Maybe the texture of another tomato would have been better, because mine were a little small when I got them deskinned and deseeded. Overall, even though my dad didn't prefer the one with vodka, I think that was just his personal preference. He did say that he liked that the flavors jumped out at him in the sauce with the vodka, And so overall, I would say that my experiment was successful. And thank you for watching.